Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso at the1916company.com. That's tmosso at the1916company.com. Today, we are talking about the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra Small Seconds. Now, this model launched in 2021. It is like the standard Aqua Terra, but perhaps with a little bit more of a dress watch orientation, thanks to the elegant sub-seconds on the dial. 41 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. It's 13.4 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 47.6 millimeters with a standard 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. And you can see we have pivoted end links, so the lug to lug is the true distance across the wrist. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you get a great look at it. Not excessively broad across the wrist, suitable in my opinion for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, maybe even 13 and a half. This is a good example of a watch that could be considered unisex, a large women's watch or a standard-sized man's watch. And it's got all of the features you would want, being loomed automatic steel, highly water-resistant, shock-resistant, and anti-magnetic. Down the barrel, the true angle, showing you that the lugs are far inboard of the edge of my wrist, and then the cuff shot, you can see that sloped conical bezel, allowing a sleeve to ramp up over the side of this watch. The bracelet features an integrating end link, and then you can see that we have a slight taper down from the end link towards the bracelet. The primary links in the center are polished. You can see the shoulder links are polished on their outer faces, but they're satin on their top. Removable links are fixed by screws, and you can see we've got a intermediate sized link on each side in case you find yourself in between sizes. You can fine tune with the intermediate link. It is a double fold deployant clasp. You can see a sequential close with one side closing before the other, and then it is a twin trigger release. You must press both of the triggers to pop it open. Rolling around to the case, very familiar to Omega fans. We have the lyre style lugs, familiar on Omega watches since the early 60s, so we have both inward and outward bevels. A case band, longitudinal set, and you can see that there's a bevel in polish that expands on the lug hoods and thins out at the mid case. We have a slightly countersunk conical crown that is media blasted outboard and then polished on its outer faces with a polished Omega logo. 150 meters water resistant. There's a little bit of a vertical flange to the bezel and then the conical profile. We have a lovely silver white dial with the second generation Omega teak deck concept. So we have a dial that looks a little bit like the teak planks of the deck of a yacht or an ocean liner. Now we have a stepped outer dial featuring a minutes track, and it is a minutes track because seconds are a separate scale. We have blued applique indices to give the watch a lush and lovely color. As you can see here, the color palette is silver, white, and blue. No shortage of luminescence, though this isn't a diving Seamaster. This is the surf and turf Seamaster, the one equally at home down on the beach or in the ballroom of the yacht club, but it has no shortage of lume. You can see all three hands luminescent. Jumping back, we have a little date that lives within the sub-seconds display. You can also see that the sub-seconds display features a lovely polished chaptering for richness. Now we do have a hacking or stop seconds function, so you can set the watch precisely to a reference time. We also have a intermediate position for the crown that allows you to move the hour hand independently. You can even drive the date forward or backwards depending on whether you're going east or west across the international date line. Notice that in this position, I'm moving the hour, I'm not moving the minutes, and the seconds hand is still moving. So that's important to take note. On the reverse of the watch, we have the Omega exclusive caliber 8916. 8916 is the small seconds version of the 8900, which is the master chronometer version of the original 8500 from 2007. So we have a bidirectional winding system. We've got two mainspring barrels, 60 hours of power reserve, a free sprung balance with a full balance bridge for shock tolerance, an anti-magnetic balance staff, silicone hairspring, and escapement, yielding over 15,000 Gauss of anti-magnetic resistance which makes this watch virtually amagnetic, and it is a master chronometer, which means it meets all of the COSC standards, but it's tested as a fully cased-up watch, not as a bare movement, in 6 positions rather than 5, and not just for chronometry, but shock resistance, water resistance, durability, anti-magnetism, winding efficiency, and power reserve. All of those go into the METAS, or Master Chronometer standard. All of this featuring a coaxial escapement, the tri-level coaxial, tangential contact between the impulsed and impulsing surface rather than sliding, meaning it is more efficient than a Swiss lever, improving power reserve, chronometry, as well as the intervals in between service. And all of this pivots on 38 joules. There's lots to love. Arabesque Côte de Genève, blackened and polished screws, engine turning on the base plate, and machined but very clean and handsomely applied bevels. One question I sometimes get with these watches is what I mean by blackened screws as opposed to black polished. Black polished means mirrored, blackened means quite literally black. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.